Hi everyone, it's Desiree and I am here with another Birch Press Design Team project. And for today we are going to focus on these layering dies, but I'm going to show you 3 different ways that you can spruce up your dies or use just one layer die, and you can see that you can do that with these dies. Now they work really well together. This is what they look like. You can see it's a 3-layer die. So let's look at this one first. So this is what this one looks like. When you die cut it, you get these beautiful die cuts and impressions within that die, and this would look beautiful on its own as a backdrop. And then you have the center die. Now this one, well, yeah, we could kind of make this work by itself, absolutely. But this is what this one looks like when you die cut that. This is your center layer. And then you have this one, and that's what this one looks like, and it would look beautiful on its own as well. So when you layer each of these up, this is kind of what it will look like. Now it looks beautiful in all of the white. You can see the petals, the flower, you get this inlay cut that's going on there. So I'm going to show you 3 different ways to use these dies. Again, using solid cardstock, adding colors to a certain cardstock, adding what's already in your stash. So tell you what, let's get started. And as always, I've taken care of my die cutting ahead of time. So we're going to do each card individually. All right, so let's get started. All right, so for the first one, what I've done here is we're going to focus on the C plate. The bottom layer, it's actually the bottom layer, and I don't know why I would want to cut that up because it's absolutely gorgeous, because you get these great die cuts in there as well. We can make those stand up and so forth. And then I have a solid piece of cardstock here. So I'm going to show you the techniques, and at the end I will show you what the cards look like. So how can you spruce this up? Well, my favorite medium of choice for coloring are colored pencils. So I just grabbed a couple pencils from my stash, and again, it could be any colored pencils you have. But when it comes to these petals here, we can just add some color from our colored pencil. You can also use watercolor pencils. You can also use your watercolor medium. You can use your alcohol markers if that's what you have. And just by simply adding some flecks of color within the leaves. It's as simple as that. It's awesome to just add this color here. Now the first color that I've chosen is like an olive green, and I'm just going to go through and just add some flecks coming up. I'm staying away from the stem. I'm leaving that alone, and I'm just focusing on those leaves to just come up and add some color. Now, you could just do this with one color. By all means, you don't have to, and that would keep it soft depending upon the color that you're using. Again, doesn't even have to be perfect. I'm just starting at the bottom there and working my way up. And you can see I'm just focusing on the one side right now to do that. And I'm even going to do these that are up here at the top because I have that cut, that section in there that's cut into the cardstock. Again, just adding a little bit of color, but why can't we use our favorite coloring mediums? You can, yes, you could even use acrylic paint, whatever it is, with a paintbrush. So you could cut this out with watercolor paper or Bristol or anything like that, just to add those colors in. Now again, just simply adding one color is enough. We don't have to go crazy. You know, something so simple, and you can see how fast I'm able to add this color to these little tiny leaves underneath the tulips. And I've just got these few leaves to go through here. I can turn my paper so that I can flick in the direction of the leaves. Now you can also color these solid if you want. I am a flicker, as funny as that sounds, and just something as simple as that just adds a little bit of color to your die cut. And then by putting this underneath, we have something that is absolutely gorgeous. Now, for those of you that know me, you know me, I like to add more colors. So, oh, and I forgot a couple here, so let me real quick get this. You all were screaming that. I heard you. I heard you. But we can add just a little bit more colors underneath just to give it some more shadow and a little bit more of depth when it comes to that. And again, it's nothing that is too precise or anything like that. And again, this with the darker color, I'm just adding a few strokes, not too many, but it's just going to help with that base. And I'm staying towards the bottom of the leaf to add that color. And each one is different because of the pressure that you might be adding to your piece. But again, it's just giving that depth. And now I'm just going to make sure that I've colored each of those. I've got this one here. And now I'm going to come to the other side. So I'll turn my piece just a little bit and add it again to the bottom. So I'm coming down from the point of that leaf and adding just a few more flicks. And when I think my pencil's not sharp, I'm turning it to get that crisp edge of that pencil. And then just coming up. So again, we can just look at our die cuts, and just by adding colors, we can get that shading. So that's what that looks like there. And then I'm going to come in with my glue, and I'm just going to come around the edge and add a thin line. And then come in the center. Nothing too fancy. I am a fan of liquid adhesive when it comes to these, and this is a pretty large spot here. And I'm going to turn that over, and I'm going to put that on my solid piece of cardstock, and I am going to let it overhang just a little bit. Rub that down. And of course I have something stuck. There we go. I'm going to grab my long shears, and I'm just going to cut along the edge. Being careful not to cut into that main panel, but if I do, not a problem. You know, again, handmade cards. We can have fun with this. I'm going to trim that right up, and there is our panel. So that is one way to create our front panel for our card. Now this will cover the front of our standard A2 size card base, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So let's move on to our next one. So cardstock. Cardstock is a wonderful thing, whether it's solid, whether it's got a print to it. And here I'm using all 3 of the layers when it comes to this panel as well, and using the dies as they were designed. Now, one of the beautiful thing is Memory Box has come out with these wonderful packs of paper. So you can see you've got 4 color families here. You have 3 different shades of each of the color families. And they've actually created, let me show you here, all of these wonderful packs that are available. There are 9 packs. You've got berry red, sunny orange, lush green. Look at those beautiful greens. Bright to the beautiful olive green. The fresh aqua, that's the one that I've used. The ocean blue. The vibrant violet. Twilight purple. Stormy blue. And then also we have our earth tones. So we have some grays and some gray browns, and then some 2 browns over here. So great. And it's a 110-pound cardstock. It is 2-sided, and it does have a white core to it. So we've seen those sanding techniques and so forth. So this one here, we're just going to glue these panels on top of each other. We don't have to add any color to it from our favorite mediums. You can if you want, by all means. But I'm going to take the top layer and I'm going to put this on top of this beautiful aqua. So I love this die set. It is a beautiful die set. Let's get spring moving in here. And you can see that little tiny shoot of that aqua color. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to add glue to the next level. And just keep coming down. And then I'm going to put this on top of the green. And again, just lining it up. And then pressing down. And that is our next panel. Very simple. You can use wonderful mirrors, you can use shimmers, you can use glitter. I mean, it would be beautiful if this had a glimmer going on here. But again, we have that panel as well. Now, one thing I wanted to show you with that first panel is if you have a pokey tool, you can actually lift these leaves up. Or you could do it just to one of them and just give that dimension in there as well. But there's something else that I'm going to put on top of this, so you'll see that once we have that. And I just found one where I forgot the blue. Yeah, there we go. Oh, I found another one. So now so far we have our 2 panels. And then finally I dug into my stash because I have so many of my ink smushed panels. Now this has got like an autumn feel to it, but it's still bright. I've added some splatters into there. So this is going to be my base. And I'm actually using plate C and plate A. Okay, so I'm not using that center plate, the plate B. Now, what I'm going to do with this one, I'm going to add my glue to here, like I did before. And I'm going to offset this. I'm going to give it a shadow. Because again, we have the beauty of scissors. So I'm going to take this, and if you hear that, that's my husband in the background, and I'm going to offset it, and I'm going to make sure that I don't have any openings. But you can see I have this pop of green that's going onto the panel. So I've created that shadow again just by off shifting this panel just a little bit. Now I want to trim this, okay, because it's even, but I just shifted it a little bit to the left, and I'm going to cut this down, and then I'm now going to glue this panel onto a piece of scrap from my stash. And again, I'm just going to make sure that it goes here. And now I'm going to put this right on top, and I'm going to come down to the bottom corner, and I'm going to lay that down. And again, I'm going to press. Now I'm just going to come in because I did a smush on there, and that's okay. I'm going to come in with my sand eraser, and I'm going to erase that out as much as I can. And if it doesn't go totally away, I'm okay with that. You know what? We can have all kinds of fun with it. I'm going to come in with my scissors again, and I'm going to cut these edges away. And I keep these strips because these strips can be great accents to our cards. And I'm going to look at that, and I'm just going to provide just a little bit of a trim down here. Again, just to make sure that we have our edges trimmed. So here, just by off-shifting that panel, you can get a similar effect to it. So a die set, a 3-layer die set, and you can see how we've used it in 3 different ways. So when I come back, you'll see what the cards look like once we're done. Okay, and I am back with our 3 cards. So I have used the honey script dies from Birch Press for my sentiment. I used a piece of vellum for the shadow that sits behind. I like to call it a cloud, but that little tiny backdrop just to help bring that forward. And I used the green throughout the card. By putting this on my card base, I have that white in the background, but you could use another panel behind that to make those flowers come out. But I like the softness of this. Here's the one where we used our colored pencils and just the C layer die. So we have our flowers coming through with a little bit of accent from our colored pencils. And again, I used the Hugs honey script, and I added some of my Spectrum Noir glitter pen just to help make that stand out as well. This one here, we've got a lot going on here with that backdrop, and again, just to give it that edge. You know, I am into the grunge and all of that, so those splatters really come through, and each flower is different. And I use the Jumbo Lingo Happy die and offset it. Nope, nothing says we have to have it straight. Why not have that going up and simply saying happy? So these are the cards that I made using the Field of Blooms layering die set, and just showing you 3 different ways that you can use these layering dies, whether you want to get the set or maybe you just want to get one of them. But again, maybe you also have something that's in your stash that is similar. So I do hope you enjoyed this, and as always, all the products that I used will be linked down below in the video description. And if you have any questions, make sure you leave those down below as well. Enjoy your day. Guys, keep smiling, laugh a little bit. It helps to relieve, you know, when we laugh just a little bit. But make sure you do enjoy this process, and make sure that you are enjoying our spaces, and always be creative, everyone. Till next time, take care.